I believe that he's getting close, or it's almost near finally getting to focus fully back onto Pokemon, and this is what he loves to do. This is what he considers almost a full-time job for himself in the amount of effort that he puts into it, and he loves doing this. And he's back exactly where he wants to be, and he'd love to see an incredible finish at Oceania.
Seeing a passionate Tord is a scary thing, man. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see him finish school and get right back on that Pokemon trail, as he does take a mulligan right now. So Kaiwen is starting to, he does find his basic Pokemon, so he will be setting his prizes pretty soon. But Tord does have to shuffle his hand back into his deck, draw a new hand of 7, and hopefully find himself a basic Pokemon. Kaiwen, of course, every time Tord doesn't find a basic Pokemon, will be able to draw an additional card.
Do you know how hard it is to miss a basic Pokemon with Tord's deck?
Well, I'm taking a look at the deck right now, so yes.
Yeah, he's got 20 Pokemon in there, and I think it's only like 3 evolutions. So missing is probably, he's just like, wait, what? I have to show you my deck? Like, this is so unfair.
This might be the first time he's mulligan.
I don't do this.
And you know what? I think that this is, if I was going to expect a deck coming out of Tord, it would be this deck. I think that this is exactly the kind of deck that I expect to see Tord try to pilot it, as it just looks so complicated and it has so many options that it's just it's a Tord Reklev special.
Yeah, that's the if there's a way to win, I'm gonna find it, and that's the way that he loves to play Pokemon, and he's giving himself a lot of options by playing this Mewtwo and Mew GX deck.
And now we do see the prizes, so here it is. The secret's out. We are gonna see ADP one more time out of Kaiwen Cabbabe and Tord Reklev with a couple of fire energies and a Victini V. It seems like we may be getting some sort of a fire toolbox deck out of Tord here. And there it is. The Pokemon get flipped over. We see Zacian against Jirachi to start things off, with Kaiwen going first and a quick ball right away. Going to find himself any basic Pokemon from his deck that he'd like to find. Of course, with Zacian, you already have a great first turn ahead of you, so what you want to start doing is start to set yourself up for a turn 2 ADP.
Yeah, if he can get the Arceus Dialga Palkia and start to work on Ultra Creation, he's in a great spot. So really, just trying to find one of those energies to attach to his Pokemon. Does already find that Arceus Dialga Palkia, and we saw that he was able to discard a Metal Energy, so I'm sure that the rest of his hand's probably pretty good if he's able to throw that hand that card away for himself there.
And there's Arceus Dialga Palkia with a Metal Energy attached to it, and I mean, that may be it. We may just see Intrepid Sword from here. Or actually, it looks like we're seeing a switch first.
Intrepid Sword?
And now Intrepid Sword finding himself 3 new cards. None are Metal Energy, so they all go to his hand. And then Tord begins his first turn of the game with the Jirachi already active and another one in hand. Those are the right Pokemon in play for Tord. This is a deck we've seen Tord pilot before, or at least a version of it.
Yeah, this is where Tord loves to be. He's back to good old welder engines, and he's got his Jirachis to help him out, make sure that he plays this as consistently as possible. Starting off with that Cherish Ball likely means that he's going to get to start to work on Mewtwo and Friends, get some energy attachments down, and then he's really going to start pushing. This list, however, is a little different now. It's taken on a version that isn't completely focused on that turn 1 welder, especially with the rule change. You kind of have to build your deck a little bit differently now. So we see that Tord is going to play that one Professor's Research in his deck, so he can use that and maybe set up for the second turn welder. And I think he does already have that research in hand.
So we're going to see a less explosive deck come out of Tord here, but with just as many options as before, if not more. And it's just it's really going to come down to a game of finesse for Tord, as he may not have the explosion that you might have expected from welder decks in the past, with something like a 5 energy turn 2 or something along those lines. But now you're going to see just basically trying to outsmart your opponent with the options that you have available to you with perfection.
So Tord is going to eye down that Charizard. It does 300 damage with the GX attack, which is a pretty fantastic way to knock out a Arceus Dialga Palkia with 280 hit points. So eyeing that down, that also just means that he is going to need to find 4 energies
that means
in
double
his
welder.
first 2 turns.
Yep.
So if he gets an energy attachment this turn, then he only needs 1 welder to go along with that. He can just welder on the following turn there.
So he is now starting to sculpt out his first couple of turns of the game. Of course, we're going to want to see a Mewtwo and Mew in play as soon as possible. just lots of different attacks available to Mewtwo and Mew, but you have to get yourself there. You can't just assume that perfection is going to be available at all times. You need to have multiple attacks for perfection so that you can use the best possible attack on the right turn.
Yep, so we do see that Tord does find that Mewtwo for himself, has Psychic Energy to go along with this, and then I'm curious to see what the rest of his hand has. I know he has the Research, but I didn't see one of the cards. If it is Welder, we could see him then potentially try to go with that Jirachi, maybe find Giant Hearth, and then he would just get the Fire Energies he wants for the Welder. Actually, it looks like it is just going to be that Research, so he's going to just push now. Next turn's going to be the Welder for him if he does find it.
Stealthy Hood, too. Also on the Mewtwo and Mew before playing the Professor's Research to draw 7 new cards after discarding the rest of his hand, and we still haven't seen any Stellar Wishes yet, so the turn is young here for Tord.
Yeah, this is going to take a little bit of time, boys and girls. He's got multiple Cherish Balls, so he can start to continue to push through this deck. Just pull out some cards that he'd like to see maybe later in the for the following turn. Nothing terribly impactful this turn, but he wants to make sure that when he does use Stellar Wish that he gives himself as many possible outs to reach that Welder.
So Solgaleo was the first Cherish Ball target, and then Denny's looking like it's going to be the second. Of course, Solgaleo may be the best possible attack that you can have on turn 2. Well, that's not necessarily true, but
you could do 300.
That's not necessarily true, but maybe the best setup attack you have in the deck.
Yeah, it's pretty great. If you a turn like this turn would have been a great turn if he had the Welder. Maybe he could have gotten some Turbo Strike and accelerated further than we're used to seeing this deck on the first turn since the rule change and whatnot. But it's still going to be a great card, and it's a great resource to have maybe later on in the game. Obviously, you never want to see it in your deck, so just throw it away now and maybe have that as a potential out later.
Giant Hearth comes down, followed by Dedenne to Dede Change and draw 6 new cards. So many cards drawn here for Tord. And now discards a card in order to find himself 2 fires. That's a Macargo GX, I believe, that hit the discard pile now.
That's right. So this means that he will be able to set up. He can get that Charizard 300 damage, and if the Mewtwo does survive a little further past that, maybe he could use Lava Flow and just start to knock out another big Pokemon like a Zacian V. So Tord really is starting to line himself up. He also has multiple Fire Energies in hand now because of the Hearth, and he has that Welder in hand all before using Jirachi.
I guess that's why Tord plays this deck. It loves him.
Well, when you build a deck to do this, and it does it, it feels pretty good.
Yeah, no kidding. In the skateboard, just about the, well, maybe the best card that he could have found there with that first Jirachi. Now it's going to allow him to retreat that Jirachi, promote another one if he chooses to do so.
So curious, actually, if he does have the Latios available. Maybe he has Clear Vision, but I'm not sure if he has that available to him. That is a strategy that some players choose to go with if they don't want to go with that big 300 damage knockout from a Charizard GX attack. Sometimes
Clear Vision is a great.
Yeah, sometimes we just see players sneak in a Clear Vision, and then they just don't have to worry about any of the effects that an ADP can bring along from there.
Yeah, fantastic counter to Arceus and Dialga's Ultra Creation. You know, I always say Arceus and Dialga and I always forget about Palkia. Well, I ignore Palkia more than
Palkia's going to get you one day, man.
Yeah.
Show some respect.
I apologize to all Palkia fans around the world.
All 3 of you.
And it looks like a sleep flip to pass the turn here for Tord. Now Kaiwen gets to start his second turn of the game. And after going first, that means he gets to really start to set up his turn from here on, or his game plan from here on out, I should say. Tag call right away, the very first card played. Tag call is great because, I mean, first of all, it finds you the Arceus and Dialga if you don't have it yet. But more than anything, like, you can find Guzma and Hollow, which is going to find you that special energy. There's so many things that Tag call really does for this deck, and I think that it's just an underappreciated engine.
Yeah, it's slower, but the fact that it's so consistent in a deck that goes slower like this, trying to get that just the turn 2 into turn 3 big attacks, it's definitely a pretty great engine to use.
And how about all of these extremely foiled out decks, especially Kaiwen's here? It's a thing of beauty, honestly, more than anything.
This makes me wonder why I use my paycheck on my mortgage. I could just buy the best deck ever and feel really good.
Well, if you were going to be playing at the international championships, I think I'd agree with you.
I think I would have had to trade the deck to get on the flight.
And now that's a Rainbow Energy onto that Arceus Dialga Palkia tag team. That's going to mean an altered creation before this turn's over. First the counter stadium, though. And now we're starting to see this energy start to flow for Kaiwen. And there it is. The GX marker gets flipped face down, which means altered creation GX. From here on out, an additional prize card will be taken whenever Kaiwen takes a prize. And, of course, if Kaiwen ever deals damage, he's going to be dealing 30 more of it.
Right. I think we will see him deal some damage. It's certainly not unlikely, but man, Tord has a turn lined up, ladies and gentlemen. He has just about everything that he needs there. He also has multiple switch, so with the Jirachis, he could just pretty much grab everything that he wants from his deck. First, going to start with that Welder, take 3 out of there, and then he can start to thin down and grab specifically what he wants with the Jirachis.
Okay, well, those Welders are the key to victory here for Tord. They help you accelerate into your strongest attacks with perfection. We already see a Solgaleo, we see a Charizard GX, tons of options already available in the discard pile for Tord, and it seems to only be a case of Tord's riches getting richer here as he finds another Cherish Ball potentially to find himself another Pokemon if he chooses to play it. That could be any Pokemon GX in his deck. I mean, he has so many different one-ofs in his deck that you have to believe that he's just going to start sculpting out the perfect game plan for the remaining turns. This is what makes Tord one of the greatest of all time. He knows, he has a generally good idea of what your game plan is going to be for the foreseeable future. He's played lots of matches. He's played this matchup, I'm sure, tons of times. I'm sure that he knows what to expect out of this situation. So at this point, he tries to counter it as best as possible. Now, Kaiwen not out of it quite yet, although he is definitely going to be facing... he is going to have his back against the wall after a Charizard GX knockout from Mewtwo and Mew potentially this turn. And that means that Kaiwen will have to find some Metal Saucers. He's going to have to find a return here, a return answer here to Tord's devastating second turn.
Yeah, so fortunately for Kaiwen, he was able to get that Shrine of Punishment. That 10 damage is actually very relevant. Just the fact that now Zacian is hitting for 260 damage into 270 hit point Pokemons that have 10 damage on them. It's going to be pretty huge for him. It means that this return knockout isn't completely unfathomable. He does have that escape board as well on the Mew, so he will be able to immediately get that Saucer, but I don't know what the rest of his hand has for him. So trying to map out if he does have this answer to the Mew is...
It's really just the Saucer that he needs, right? And the Metal?
Yeah, if he has the Saucer, but he needs the Metal to go along with it. And
right.
It starts to get tricky, and then what else does he have from there? Because he only has like 4 cards in hand.
Yeah, so Saucer Metal is kind of the first step, and then from that point on, you kind of have to figure it out. But at the same time, I mean, you have to give credit to Tord's setup here. You have to give credit to this situation where Tord finds himself in, because he will be able to get a big knockout on that Arceus and Palkia tag team before it can even start to accelerate Kaiwen's energies.
Yeah, and it's very unlikely that you'll see Kaiwen ever get to accelerate energies, just with the way that this matchup tends to go. A lot of the time, Tord will find that answer, find that big 300, and it looks like he does have that lined up.
Yeah, it looks like that was the last Fire Energy in the deck here for Tord, as he does play Giant Hearth. So only able to find 1 Fire, but, I mean, that's the one he needs.
This is starting to look pretty difficult for Tord, honestly. If Kaiwen's able to find the right cards, if he can find maybe a supporter to keep his hand refreshed, it looks pretty difficult for Tord to pull out a victory here, even though he's taking this huge knockout right now.
Yeah, remember, this is the second turn. This is the second turn of the game here for Tord, and you know, you can't really ask for too much more out of Tord's situation, right? He got himself that turn 2 Welder. He got himself that Perfection plus Charizard GX combination. Like, he has pretty much everything he needs for this matchup. Now, with that said, this is not an easy matchup. It's definitely a back-and-forth exchange, and if Kaiwen can get what he needs, then, yeah, I mean, it could get rough for Tord here.
Yeah, Tord needs time. After he takes this knockout, he's going to need to
rebuild.
Yeah, and he also needs to find maybe some more Fire Energies off of his prize cards, potentially, so that he has something to Welder, because it's just looking tough. Yeah, it looks like he can't even afford to use his GX attack here. He's going to go ahead and attach an energy to his Mewtwo, and we'll see what option he decides to go with here. It looks like it's going to be Solgaleo.
Yeah. So Galio dealing 120 damage and then attaching 2 fires from the discard pile onto Mewtwo. So it looks like it's an energy conservation game instead for Tord, and going to be choosing to 2-hit KO this Arceus and Dialga and Palkia, which means we're going to be seeing potentially an Ultimate Ray here.
Yeah, which, I mean, this is actually a really great play from Tord. He sets himself up now to where Kaiwen doesn't want to lose these energies, but he doesn't have a way to easily swap out right now. And he doesn't have an attacker resting right there on the bench to come in and knock out this Mewtwo. So he is going to have to waste an attack, essentially. But he gets to accelerate some energies, too. So both players kind of buying that extra turn, giving themselves some extra energies, and really setting up for a big battle in the future.
Well, not something you see every day as a reset stamps to 6. So that implies that we're probably going to be seeing Kaiwen discard the rest of his hand. Now, yeah, I mean, we could just see a switch and a Metal Saucer and Metal Energy, right? That could still be something we're going to be seeing. We might not have to see an Ultimate Ray this turn.
Yeah, we also do see that Fion came into the hand, unfortunately. Both Mewtwo are pretty much in the same spot, so won't provide too much of a benefit for him. It's not like Tord's going to promote a Detene or Jirachi into this.
So now the Metal Energy gets attached onto the Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia. So that's 3 energy on ADP. That's going to mean an Ultimate Ray to end this turn, which is obviously not going to be enough to knock out the Mewtwo and Mew, but it will accelerate energy onto the field for Kaiwen.
Wow, I wonder if Tord's actually setting up for using his Mewtwo's attack. If he could heal himself off and then not find the shrine, then he's actually clear of a Zacian knockout here. He could just remove the damage that comes into play, and that'd be pretty sneaky. It'd mean that Kaiwen would need to find that Shrine of Punishment in order to take the big knockout with the Zacian.
Got to see Kaiwen deep in thought before deciding to go with Ultimate Ray, attaching 1 metal onto the Zacian and then a couple more metals onto the other Pokemon. So here's where it starts to get really tricky. I mean, obviously, you have an easy knockout onto the Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia, but then do you have the final 3 prizes after that? That's the real question that Tord's got to ask himself. Like, is this a board state where he feels comfortable? And if so, is he going to be attacking with this Mewtwo and Mew, or is he going to be attacking with the benched one with less damage on it? This is a tough spot here for Tord.
Well, his opponent has 2 cards in hand, and if he's able to find a Psychic Energy, he can go ahead and use his GX attack, clear all the damage off of himself, knock out a 3-prize Pokemon, and not be worried about getting return KO'd by a Zacian. So let's do that if you can.
Yeah, but that requires another Psychic Energy. How many do you have access to?
Yeah, that's true. We could see, yeah, it looks like he just only plays the 2. So if he does find that second Psychic Energy, he could put himself in a good spot.
I don't see it in the deck.
Don't know if he's got that option available.
So since I don't see it in the deck, that implies it's either in the hand or in the prizes, Kyle.
That does make it a little tougher.
Well, it's 100 or 0. You either have it already or you just don't have it at all. And you can't get it for the rest of this turn.
Well, that makes it impossible.
So if Tord has the Psychic Energy in his hand, you're absolutely right. This would be huge for Tord, as that would clear all the damage counters off, and it would leave Kaiwen with only a 2-card hand.
I see it.
There's the Psychic Energy, though, so he does have access to it. Now, does he go for it, though?
Yeah. Honestly, it looks like he should. He's got enough energies to set up for the Lava Flow with his Macargo with that Mewtwo that's on the bench. So if he does play the Psychic Energy active, he could put himself in a situation where he has 9 unchallenged energies, and I think he's going to definitely see this play here available.
Perfection is giving him access to like 7 different GX attacks, and he may just go with the Miraculous Duo GX that he has printed on its own, Mewtwo and Mew. It seems like a great strategy, right? Like, you make it so difficult for Kaiwen to get the return knockout, but with a 2-card hand, can Kaiwen do it? Kaiwen do it?
Me and Tord are on another level, man. All right,
there's all that damage removed. That means 1 knockout onto Kaiwen's energy, or onto Kaiwen's Pokemon. That's 3 prizes taken for Tord. No energy on the field for Tord. What can Kaiwen do to return?
No damage on the field. He's got plenty of energies.
Yes, I meant no damage, sorry. So what can Kaiwen do to return serve? There's a Shrine of Punishment, I believe.
All right, but with his hand, you
You need Shrine, you need Metal, and you need a way to retreat the Jirachi, which you already have.
Looks like he does have the escape board, yeah. So does get the Shrine, does have...
All you need is a Metal.
Well, it looks like he would be able to then answer, but he's not happy with it. He wanted to get a little bit more out of that, it looks like. He's not going to have any other cards in his hand after he does take this knockout, but, I mean, you did find it. So
yeah,
you got to be a little excited there.
You basically countered the Miraculous Duo.
Yep. Now, this was what he needed to find.
There's that Shrine. There's that promoted Zacian. That's going to mean a big return knockout onto that Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX. We saw all of those damage counters go away, but no damage counters will be added by the end of Kaiwen's turn, as it's going to mean 4 prizes taken by Kaiwen, thanks to that Altered Creation GX. 1 more knockout for Kaiwen to win this game, but he's got all of his eggs in this one Zacian basket. Or most of his eggs, anyway.
Oh, yeah, he's got that Absol. He'll figure it out.
Oh, this is close, Kyle.
Yeah,
this is really close.
This is definitely coming down to the wire. This is a very exciting game.
You have 4 energies on this Mewtwo and Mew.
What a tough
You have a
luck.
reset stamp to 3, or reset stamp to, I believe, 2.
Should be 2, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to...
There should be 4 prizes taken.
Got to go ahead and use that that GX attack for himself. So that was 4 prizes that
And
he
there's
took.
the counter stadium. Giant Hearth coming right back down. So I see Kaiwen drawing 3, though.
Excuse us. Yes. So with the damage being placed after, he actually missed
it was
out
placed
on that
after.
effect. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it wasn't placed before. You're right. Yeah. So of course,
not a
Shrine of
plus power.
Punishment. Yes, Shrine of Punishment was dealt the damage between turns, since it's not a knockout dealt by your Pokemon. You're only taking 3 prizes. You're absolutely correct. And that does mean that Kaiwen has access to one more card in hand. So in this case, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, it's a little bit harder for you to get your win because you still need 3 more prizes. But hey, at least you have 1 more card available to you in your hand after that reset stamp.
Yep. Does make it. I mean, you're still going through the same Mewtwo either way, it looks like, but potentially still could just eye out that Dedenne.
Yeah, that
Looks
Dedenne seems very easy to knock out.
He said, Flare Blitz, boom.
All right, well, that is that knockout onto Kaiwen's Zacian. That's all the all the Zacians in play here, gone for Kaiwen. 1 prize remaining for Tord. Still 3 for Kaiwen. Kaiwen Cabbabe staying in this neck and neck with Tord Reklev. But at this point is when he has to pull out
but I'll still shuffle again.
what may be the unthinkable here. Like, it seems very difficult for him to come up with a 3-prize knockout right now. And with Tord only needing 1 more prize, it seems very tough for Kaiwen to come back here.
Yeah, this is looking hard.
Metal Saucer, though.
Yeah, that's going to help. He actually also found the custom catcher to go with it. Can draw a little extra. Well, hey, why not 1 more?
All right, well, Metal Saucer into custom, into Stellar Wish.
This is insane.
A quick ball can find himself another Zacian, but
Let me just see here.
that might be it. That might be the end of game 1. I think Tord's taking it, Kyle.
Oh my god.
I mean, I think he was able to find the right route there for himself. He put himself in a great position, and he made Kaiwen have to find that 1 card. Kaiwen was able to find it, but didn't have any supporters to go along with it afterwards. So now we see him just really struggling to keep up, and this Mewtwo has so many energies. It seems very likely that Tord just finds the right attack this coming turn here to clear it out.
Quick ball, Metal Saucer.
Yeah, with only 1 prize remaining, any knockout is fine for Tord. All he needs is 1 more knockout.
Well, that would have been a good card if Stealthy Hood wasn't a card.
Yep, I know. It's terrible, right?
He was able to find that Mimikyu.
And now it looks like Mew is the Pokemon of choice.
And then I'll Mew.
Ah, okay. So he's got the Lysander Labs. He gets to shut off the Stealthy Hood. And he's really just hoping to shut down Tord from this point. If Tord is able to counter that Stadium, then we would see Tord become the victor here. Don't know if he does have access to another Giant Hearth here.
So what's the game plan here for Kaiwen? What's the road to victory?
He needs to hope that Lysander Lab never gets countered, and then maybe he can find the right attacker to finish this game up.
I mean, I know I've already seen at least 3 Giant Hearths. It's hard to imagine that Tord plays 4, right?
Oh, Victini, cool.
Okay, that's Victini V. That's
Yeah.
one answer.
Cool.
Yep, He's just gonna. He's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna
I stalled you
get
for
rid
a
of
10.
these. I'm gonna bring up this Victini. And,
Retreats the Mewtwo and Mew, promotes the Victini V.
all right, so Kaiwen's at a very cool turn lined up, but Tord with the perfect answer built in,
Sure.
just gets to put all these energies onto his Victini, and he's threatening to knock out just about anything that Kaiwen has to offer.
Stellar Wish.
Kaiwen immediately retreats that Mew, promotes the Jirachi. Jirachi finds Professor's Research.
It's like, oh, there's those guys.
Stellar Wish finding that Professor's Research that's been missing from Kaiwen's game basically the entire game. Kaiwen really struggling with the card draw aspect of this game. And there it is, Professor's Research drawing 7 new cards, and there's all 3 other. Oh man, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, he can't help but laugh at that. He sees the 3 more researchers. It's not gonna do much for him.
Reset stamps down Tord down to 1, but there's already so many energy in play for Tord.
Well, looks like Absol's the attacker of choice. Pretty awkward for him. Is going to be able to promote that to Dene, but
Great catcher promoting to Dene.
should not be enough damage to finish this up. Doesn't actually even have a way to get out of the X spot. He locked himself with his own lab.
Maybe you just hope Tord doesn't have an energy and in the 1-card hand.
Yeah.
That's got to be it, right?
Oh, we'll see.
You draw. Tord draws 2 cards total.
Oh.
There's that Dene
Oh,
change.
man.
Man.
6 new ones. You have to believe he's got to have it. There it is.
Sorry. Wait.
Well,
Wait,
he
no,
shows,
no, no.
He shows
Yeah.
that, but he has energy and
Okay.
switch. He's just-
Okay.
And there it is, that handshake game 1 going to Tord. What an exciting finish, honestly. It was
I'll go first. Hey.
it was well played, masterfully played by both players, but Tord really just showed how he has this
Okay.
answer to everything, really,
That was pretty good.
that Kaiwen could
That
have
was
shown.
pretty
Now,
crazy.
granted,
Yeah, it was pretty
a
crazy
lot
at
of
the
this
end, yeah.
had to do with the fact that we saw no researchers, no professors' researches from Kaiwen basically the entire game. And
Yep.
that's how you start to get that steady influx of energies. That's how you get that influx of attackers. When you don't have access to all these card draw effects, you're going to be in that awkward position where you're going to be missing a few
But I mean, like,
key
it's
pieces
pretty
of the
hard to
puzzle.
think of, like,
Yeah, we've
kinda
seen
much
how
you're gonna do that
important
playthrough.
it is for Kaiwen to get that Shrine of Punishment early, and we saw how important it is for him to get
That's true.
that
Yeah, the
Lysander
one-card
lab
hand,
late.
right?
If he's
I
able
had
to
a
lock
one-card
that in,
hand. I,
get
like,
his
couldn't even
Mimikyu
throw
working,
Magnolia at all. It was
yeah,
really
he's
strong.
going to be put in a pretty great spot.
thinking
Now,
about
he
using the next
was
man
able to
stream,
find
but
all the
then
right
that
cards.
was
He just didn't have the draw support to go with it. So if he has the draw support, I feel like we see a completely different game, and it could start to
smart to
flip
do it
over
there,
into
though.
Kaiwen's favor.
Pretty
But
smart
he's,
to
of course,
miraculous
he's playing
do it
against
there,
Tord
though.
Reklev, who
'Cause,
is going to
yeah.
find a way here or there,
playing
some way.
playing
He's going to
like
get
Cliff
himself
lets me.
back into a game.
And then I was
Both
like,
players
Shrine
really
anyway,
just
but
doing exactly what their
Yeah,
decks are
it's good.
capable of to put themselves in the best positions, and Tord came out on top that time.
Is this kind of what you expect to see out of this matchup every time? Like, is that the kind of back and forth that you expect to see out of these decks, or were you expecting a different game plan out of either player?
No, I think both players found exactly what they needed to do at the right time. I think that Kaiwen wishes that his bench was a little more forgiving because he didn't want to use that Absol as a finisher. He wanted another Zacian, but that really wasn't up to him just with the way that his deck was starting to draw. So I feel like both players will go with very similar game plans, and this time around, Tord's just going to hope that maybe he can avoid the Shrine, or maybe when the Shrine comes down, he can get that Miraculous one more time and avoid the second Shrine.
Well, prizes are coming down as both players are already starting up game 2.
Oh, boy.
What are we oboing about?
Well, Tord started his Mega Lopunny, and just it doesn't do too much
Oh, boy.
in a matchup like this.
That is Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff, the tag team of dreams, going up against Jirachi's Stellar Wishes.
This is all terrible.
Yeah, Zacian is a V Pokemon, so you're not going to see Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff putting in too much work here.
Yeah, it's just, this is not the matchup for that card.
Yeah, that
for
is
sure.
that is a Pika-Rom card.
So
Sorry, I'm just thinking
Mega
about it.
Lopunny just
That's
kind of
all.
eager to come out and
It's a
play,
bit
but
weird.
not the right time, says
don't
Tord,
actually get anything.
as Kaiwen starts his first turn of the game. Jirachi wishing upon a star, wishing for something to get him going. Kaiwen, of course, just looking to start getting some energies onto the ADP, and that's exactly what happens as he passes the turnover to Tord. Tord now with that
sorry,
Mega
yeah,
Lopunny and
Want
Jigglypuff
me to roll it again?
start
Sure.
is Is the rest of his hand going to look as bad as his starter, or is he going to have access to an explosive start once again?
Well, it looks like his top deck. Oh, actually, no. That's a. I thought it was a Mewtwo, but it looks like it's actually a Naganadel.
Oh, I thought that was a Mewtwo too.
Yeah,
so instead, it's got to be a welder onto the Mega Lopunny.
Yeah, that's not where he wants to go there. He's going to go ahead and attach these energies. He does get to do a little bit of damage, but this isn't where he wants to go with this. He'd love to have the access to really start doing a lot of damage with his Mewtwo, and instead he's kind of just stuck. He could go ahead and attack, but where are you getting with this? You might just make it easier for your opponent to bring up Arceus Dialga and use Ultra Creation.
This is just an awkward start altogether for Tord as he's playing his first Giant Hearth to find himself, well, more than anything, to discard a card to thin his deck out of 2 fire energies.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and
Naganadel GX going down.
chuck that not Mewtwo into the discard pile.
Finding 2 fires and adding them to his hand, potentially gearing up for a big puffy smasher.
That's where you want to be, right? That sounds pretty good.
I mean, it sounds kind of cute and warm, right? But man, when you have enough energy, it's anything but.
Well, we will see what Tord decides to go with. I think the next supporter that he has lined up is a Professor Research, so I don't know even if he wants to like throw away these fire energies, but it might just be important that he gets some of these into the discard pile to make his top decks a little better. And right now I think he's pondering just using only the one there so that he has access to some of these later down the road when he does have the welders, but he also wants to thin out just a little bit more.
Sure.
That's that massive big brain power right there out of Tord. Looks like Research obviously cannot be played yet because of Welder, but that you're not wrong. That may be the supporter of choice here for the second turn of the game, and that's not where you want to be if you're Tord.
Yeah, this is pretty rough. He actually, I think he's holding Great Catcher, but he didn't want to hit the Arceus Dialga for 120 because he has no second attack lined up that would take a knockout.
Holding Cherish Ball too.
So he's just going to go ahead and continue to take out the Jirachi. He might be lined up for that next turn. Who knows?
So now Kaiwen starting his second turn of the game. You saw Kaiwen go first last time, but just did not have that it factor in that game. Will it be different this time around? Will we see a turn 2 Ultra Creation?
Oh, I don't see the energy yet.
I don't see it either, Kyle. I do see a lot of options, though. I see a Quick Ball, so we may be seeing a Dedenne this turn. Seems very important to get that Ultra Creation
already
going.
played the Dedenne for the turn, so.
Oh, he did play a Dedenne already.
Hoping for potentially a supporter, but not able to find that.
Just been so supporter-like this entire match.
And also, playing down that Dedenne means that you're actually charging up Mega Lopunny to do some work now. And we're getting some relevant damage onto the board. This is super awkward for Kaiwen.
We're talking about, what, 130 damage?
It's getting up there. We're talking hits.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's getting big.
It's what, 60 plus 60 for each one, so we're talking 180 now?
180. Yeah, I don't do math well.
Yeah.
We've known this for years now, Kyle. This shouldn't surprise you.
Sorry.
Played the quick ball.
Yeah.
What did you discard with that?
Oh,
Okay,
I
looks
discarded
like-
the Jirachi.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like they're just double checking, making sure that everything's still going smoothly, and looks to be that way. As maybe
Oh, 10, yeah.
no, there's no way we saw an Intrepid Sword. Did we?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have anything else that he could really do there.
Oh, he really didn't have access to anything else. He couldn't get that turn 2 Ultra Creation. Never found that energy, which means Intrepid Sword was the only thing he could do before the end of his turn. And now Tord maybe getting that
Thanks.
breath of fresh air out of nowhere. Like, I really expected this to be a Kaiwen Cabbabe game. But, I mean, now it seems to be like, okay, well, you find your Cherish Ball, you find your Mewtwo and Mew, you start setting up.
Yeah, and he does have it available to him. He has the multiple fire energies that he can grab off this Hearth. He does have Welder in hand, and he has the Cherish Ball. So he's going to have 6 energies on the field. It's just going to be in really goofy spots for him. But
Well, I mean, you're going to be jumping, ballooning, and you're going to be setting up a Mewtwo and Mew. This is where you want to be.
this kind of works out.
Yeah.
It's really...
Considering the end of your first turn, you were not unhappy to be in this spot of your Tord.
Yeah, and You wonder if the
Sorry,
risk
what?
from Kaiwen was worth it to go ahead and promote and go all in on the Dedenne. But if he did find the energy in order to use Alter Creation, he'd be in such a dominant spot right here. He'd feel so great. Taking this damage would not mean anything to him because he already had flipped that GX counter and he was setting up to take a big knockout coming in the next few turns, or even next turn if he was able to find the right hot cards to finish.
Did you take a look at his hand? Did he have any other options besides the Dene?
No, he had custom catcher where he could have maybe drawn one card, but that's super risky too. I think he would have had to like play a card that he didn't want to. So
Right. So, yeah, maybe his hands were just tied. Maybe Kaiwen just really didn't have very many choices there and just went for the lesser of two evils and wasn't able to find that Aurora energy. So now Tord again finds that Mewtwo and Mew. We see that Welder in hand. There's 2 more energy coming down onto Mewtwo and Mew. And now 3 more cards drawn here for Tord as now he's starting to set up. Now he's starting to feel comfortable. Definitely was not comfortable at the end of the first turn, but things are changing.
he's home.
Yeah.
He's finding it.
Mewtwo's home.
Does have that psychic energy for himself as well. Was able to counter a shrine before Mewtwo was in play, which is so huge for him.
Yeah, there's a limited amount of shrines. The shrines have to stick damage, and when they don't, it's just it's a wasted opportunity. But again, Kaiwen forced to Dedenne there, forced to try to find him some options, and you see him spinning those dice. He's not happy with the spot. If you're if you're a Kaiwen fan, you're not happy with this spot for Kaiwen. And we see in Metal Energy drawn for the turn for Kaiwen.
Well, he's got 10 damage on a Pokemon that has 240 hit points. Zacian does 230. So there's things to do. Are they good things? No. But they are things that you can try to aim for. And honestly, I don't even know if his hand's going to let him do anything else. Oh my goodness.
So just altered creationing
for no extra effects.
Wow.
Can I see your discard pile?
Cool.
Okay. Okay. So
that happened.
interesting. So that was Kaiwen saying, okay, my window to do anything with this Arceus and Palkia is closed.
Yeah.
What is my best option here? Do I go with Intrepid Sword? Do I go with Altered Creation in this spot? He went with the Altered Creation, and that starts Tord's third turn of the game. Now, Tord has already put some heavy damage on the ADP. We see the third consecutive welder. I mean, that's just 3 welders in a row and on the first 3 turns of the game here for Tord. Things were looking really, really rough for Tord before Kaiwen started his second turn of the game, and then everything flipped. And now Tord just looking like he's going to be taking a dominant 2-0 victory against Kaiwen Cabbabe.
Yeah, this is exactly where he wants to be. This has worked out pretty great for him, and unfortunately his opponent just hasn't been able to give him very much to fight against. But if you're Tord, you don't complain. You just keep on pushing through. This is where when you find that 90% that you really just try to push through the rest of it and get yourself in a good spot.
Is there a route to victory for Kaiwen here still? Like, does he still have an opening available to him? We know that the ADP is going to go down. We know Tord's going to go down to 2 prizes remaining. What can Kaiwen do to keep this competitive? He obviously is going to need to get a return knockout, but then you have to face down a Mewtwo and Mew with 4 energy sitting in the bench.
Right. this is where it becomes pretty difficult to find your way out of this one here. Knows that if he does have that Zacian come up and end up taking a knockout, that he is going to be easily return KO'd by a Mewtwo, and there is actually just no way for Kaiwen's deck to knock out a Mewtwo in one hit after you've already seen that Ultra Creation isn't going to be providing that big effect.
Is this checkmate?
Well, we never want to call it early, do we? But man,
Well,
it's looking pretty hard.
2 prizes remaining here for Tord. Kaiwen not able to attack yet with anything but an Altered Creation GX without its full effect. This is Kaiwen's 4th turn. He has nothing in play. He has only a single Metal Energy in play on the Zacian. promotes the Mewtwo and Mew, which I think is a huge first step. That's a professor's research.
Still horrible.
Yeah, it's
Pretty awful still.
gonna keep on pushing through. Finds using the Jirachi's ability now, but man, there's just nothing in there that he really wants to work with. He of course can just grab the saucer, but
Saucer, tag call, potential options, but none of these options seem to spell a victory for Kaiwen. The big part of this turn was promoting that Mewtwo and Mew. He needed to do that. He needed to find a way to stop the Mewtwo and Mew before it could get dangerous. You can handle a Jigglypuff. You cannot handle a Mewtwo.
right. But how do you handle?
But how do you handle the Mewtwo? How? No, this is not a rhetorical question.
Use that hashtag play Pokemon and tell us how you can handle this Mewtwo.
I do not know how you can handle this Mewtwo of your Kaiwen. I don't know if Kaiwen knows how you can handle this Mewtwo of your Kaiwen. There is just
Catch the Mew.
too little,
The Absol.
too late maybe. There's a Mew. I guess that's one way. You don't have a reset stamp, right? Tord still has a large hand.
So he could put the chip damage, get 30 damage onto the Mewtwo. This Pokemon potentially falls, gets knocked out.
You're hoping it gets knocked out.
in the active spot. Then you use
There's
that
great catcher,
shine.
though. That
Yeah.
does mean game, set, and match. Going to Tord Reklev against Kaiwen Cabbabe. That's 2 games to nothing in, honestly, what I felt like was going to be a 1-1 finish at the end of this game because of given their starts, right? Given the first turn of the game for both of these players, I was like, oh, this is not looking good for Tord. This is looking like we're going to be going to game 3, but then Kaiwen couldn't find it. Kaiwen could not find anything, and that was just 3 welders in a row for Tord afterwards, and maybe not an easy victory, but a victory nonetheless here for Tord as he goes now to a 5-1 record.
Yeah, so what Kaiwen did there was almost more impressive than what Tord was doing, to be honest. Watching that gameplay, Tord, of course, was able to find the right routes and put himself in great position. But for Kaiwen, for his mental capacity to actually find literally the best route every single time. When he was behind where he didn't have draw support, he found almost the exact right answer every single time to give himself this little slight bit that maybe could put him over the edge. It takes a lot of fortitude to get to that point and to find the right answers, even when you know you're getting pretty walloped on the stream. And he did it every single time, so kudos to him for being able to find those spots.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's the truth. That I felt like it was almost inevitable that Tord was going to win. But at every point, I was like, oh, well, that is an opportunity there.
Yeah.
That there is a chance here. And he kept finding those chances. He kept finding a way to extend the game. And it wasn't meant to be. Like, it felt like it was Destiny that it wasn't meant to be. But he fought Destiny really hard.
Exactly. He was going to make Destiny say, okay, this isn't my game. Because every single time he had a Jirachi, he would go, all right, I'm looking for this card. And then he found that card, and then he'd just keep on moving. Or maybe I need to, of course, he knew that it was also going to be like combinations of cards that would really give him the best outs. So even when he found the right card of Jirachi, he was upset because it wasn't research into that card. So he knows exactly where he needs to be. So it was just really cool to watch that when things don't go your way, you don't have to just give up. You can just keep pushing through. And honestly, some of those games against maybe a less caliber opponent, he could actually sneak the way out. But Tord just closed the door.
You know, I don't think it's unfair to say this, but the truth is that we saw, despite not having seen, a legendary match, we saw some extremely high-level gameplay out of both players, and I'm glad you mentioned that because it is the truth. We saw just a lot of skill displayed by both players, but only one of them could come out victorious, and that was Tord Reklev, and I really want to hear what he has to say about that match.
Hello everyone, I'm here with the winner of the latest round at the Oceania International Championships Masters Division trading card game. It's Tord Reklev. Tord, congratulations. How do you feel?
Thank you so much. I feel really well. I think that was probably the best I drew all day, so always nice to see happen.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. So you're not really a stranger to the international stage, but a lot of the time we've seen you've been playing cards like Zoroark GX, which makes me think maybe you would have played Chinchino at this event. So it's a very similar ability. So what drew you to, say, Mewtwo and Mew GX instead?
Actually, this version is even faster decking out your own deck and finding all your resources than what Cincino is. So Like when you go the Dene, Irachi, I originally had Acrobac as well. Just wanted to see my whole deck as fast as possible, see all the resources, have the most options as possible, and just take it from there.
So you played against an Arceus, Dialga, Palkia deck, and we've seen a lot of those at the tournament this weekend. Did you expect to face a lot of those decks?
Yeah, for sure. I was the most hyped and probably the best or one of the best decks in the format right now. So I would have to have a game plan if I wanted to beat them. So my game plan is just to try to be very fast so they don't get the value they want out of their GX attack. So I try to win the round, or like 2 rounds after the GX attack. So they only get like 1 knockout with it and win 1 turn before them.
Yeah, that seems like a good strategy. It seems to be paying off. At this tournament, players can't play a supporter on the first turn of the game. So how did you design your deck and create your strategy to account for that?
Yes, I played Irachi the Dun Engine, so I only have 5 supporters in my deck. 1 Professor Magnolia, or like Professor Research, and 4 Welder. And it's been working out because most games are really fast-paced, at least the tag team matchups. And there's not really that many turns anyway in the games. It doesn't really matter that they have too many supporters because we can't use all of them anyway. So I decided to just roll with the strongest supporters and just try to take myself out as fast as possible and see all my cards, which is what Mewtwo wants to do. And I also have the really nice Victini from the new set in here. He lets me overextend with the Mewtwo and all my resources. And if he gets knocked out, I can simply promote Victini, do a reset stamp, and use his first attack, attach 3 energy to my bench Mewtwo, and then I can use that Mewtwo to win the game afterwards.
Yeah, it seems like a very strong strategy. All right, well, we saw Tord win here 2 years ago, and so good luck. Hopefully for you, we see that again. Casters, back to you.